What's going on, everybody? I'm here, your boy Sin, along with Jokes. Unfortunately, Gage isn't with us this time around for Spoiler Boys. Got some family stuff to take care of. It's all good, but we're going to hold it down for the squad with a brand new episode of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler Boys!
Yes, sir. How you feeling, Jokes?
I'm feeling pretty good. How about yourself, man?
I'm good, man. You ready for episode 4, Beloved, our discussion on this episode?
Yes, sir.
All right, so y'all like to know where we start, and that is Jokes 1 to 10. Where you sitting at right now with episode 4?
Sitting at 8.
Okay. Not mad at 8. I'm gonna say about 7.5. About a 7. About a 7.5. Like I'm not at an 8, but I'm not at a 7. Like
you at these halves numbers.
I don't know. It's just a weird series for me. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. That's just how I feel. But so let's go ahead and get into Beloved. You have the chat in case anybody.
I will. So let's do this just in case, because I know it's rare that we don't do so many of these live, but this is Spoiler Boys, y'all. So
that is very true.
So we're about to go in and we is about to spoil the hell out of episode 4. So I would say if you haven't watched, this is a good time to bail out. Go watch episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Secret Invasion and of Spoiler Boys.
Yes.
And then come back and watch this afterwards.
Then come back, yes.
Episode 4 is getting spoiled to hell right now. So this is your warning.
Yeah.
If you didn't see the title.
Yeah. That's what we do with Spoiler Boys. We spoil. And it's all about episode 4. All right. If they're still here, they obviously want to know what we have to say about it. So let's just start at the top. We opened up this episode exactly where the last one left off, with Gaia being shot and left in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And you know, I never thought that she was going to die, and of course, as we see, it instantly starts flashbacking to when she was going to get the information for Talos before she tried to leave. But we also see in that moment of her getting that information, she decided to take a precaution.
Hold up. I told y'all.
No, we knew she wasn't dead.
Hey, listen, look. I said I wasn't sure at that point, but we didn't know who to trust. But yeah, she's not dead.
And look, I saw the extra trailer. I'm like, there's too many scenes I've seen with her in it that I haven't seen yet.
I didn't watch it. See, I purposely avoided watching those trailers because
I feel you. I feel you. I did during when we had our weekly, whatever it was, when I went and watched the next episode. But while she was getting that information, she took a security measure for herself and decided to jump in that machine and make herself a Super Skrull. As we see the Extremis preparing herself, and she gets back up and she's alive. You know what I'm saying? And Garrick is none the wiser. So cool, she's around. We then shift to 2012 out in Paris.
Good year.
Oh yeah, little something called
within the MCU,
right? You know, something called the Avengers happened. Around that time, saving the world and such. Which is kind of what they addressed to him in the beginning. He walks into this nice bar in Paris, hangs his coat up. Nick Fury sees his wife. They sit down to have a conversation. She slides the paper across the table of the event and starts to ask him, clandestine kind of questions about it. So, were you involved in? I think a great man was involved behind this, yada yada yada, that type of stuff. They end up getting into this poetry book that she's reading, and about her favorite poem out of it, and how it's a conversation piece. You read the first line, Nick. He does it. She reads it back, and talking about how she wants to be beloved, and that's what she wants from this life. What do you think about the opening scene, Jokes?
Opening scene was cool. Just going from the Gaia into this to kind of, because when it first went to Gaia, I was like, wait, we're not starting this episode with a different time frame in a different year. So I was a little thrown off, but then we easily shifted back into it. So I was like, okay, cool. We're keeping that rhythm going right now. But I like what we did to kind of, I guess you could say, to set a tone, to kind of give you that relationship between Nick and Priscilla at this point forward. But I thought it was an okay opening. Nothing, it wasn't over the top. It was just really just to give you a little bit more of insight to where they kind of were with each other at that time.
Yeah, I agree. I'm at the same place. I thought it was cool. Like, all right, y'all setting up for something, giving us more insight into their relationship. I'm cool with this. Let's see how this plays out. And we go right out of that into her in church, sitting down in church, waiting on somebody. Of course, after last week's Spoiler Boys episode, we're all, is Rhodey coming? Like, was that the person on the phone? And
that damn sure enough was who was on the phone.
It sure enough was. Rhodey comes, he has a seat, and she's talking to him about, you heard Nick Fury, like the president, he was fired. What, really? The president? Right. Like, no, I let that fool go. Like I gave we could reference it to like an Undertaker DDT.
Dog, listen. Just know I had a moment when he started leaning into that. He was like, I DDT'd this dude off the top rope. I was like, oh yeah, it was Undertaker level type thing. I was like, oh, first things first, the Undertaker is not doing a DDT off the top rope. He is not doing that. But I get what he was trying to establish, like how serious it was for it. But good reference for a wrestling fan right there.
It was. I got a good chuckle out of that. So while they're sitting there in the church having this discussion, he's letting her know that, I need you to kill Fury. That you got to do. And she's asking him, like, well, what does Garrick say? Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Just take care of what I'm telling you to take care of, type of deal. And the whole time, Nick Fury is listening into their conversation. He's bugged one of them, and you can tell he's a little bit more than upset about having his wife turn his back on him. Like, you can see him go through the motions while he's sitting there in their backyard just listening to the conversation unfold. What did you think?
I thought the scene was cool. I thought we really got to see at this point, and knowing Rhodey's character and been with him for so long, the way that some of his tone was coming across, it was a little aggressive. It was a little more than what Rhodey typically would be like. So when she was given the pushback, like saying, hey, we don't need to kill Nick. Like, he's broken at this point. He's not a threat. We don't need to worry about him. But it was my man, when she kind of gave that pushback, and he leaned over and was like, listen, you gonna stop telling me what you not gonna do, and I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. I was like, oh, that's a little hostile there, Rhodey.
Like this whole scene, I'm looking at Rhodey like, bruh, like you acting real green in the skin and shit to me, bro. Like, I'm not I'm not feeling you right now. Like, something's really off about you in the scene. You're a little bit more aggressive and playful, and it was
off. It was off. And it's like, I get that my man is, he still goes by Colonel Rhodes, but to me, he is still something else. I don't know. He's like the right-hand man for the president. Like, this is like, he's there. He does everything. We haven't seen much of a vice president, I don't think, at all or anything like that. But Rhodey is literally like right-hand man to the president. So it's really like Rhodey's kind of running things and kind of using the president. Like, listen, this is what such and such. I need you to go do this, or like, I'm keeping him in the dark until I need to tell him. So there's like a puppeteer type of thing going on right now. Yeah, even Kay. I mean, it was like, that was much.
It was really interesting, that scene. And just to note, this is the shortest episode we've had so far. This episode was only 35 minutes long. It was short.
It got to the point, though. It was getting to the point.
It did, for sure. But right after that scene, we get Garrick setting up something. He's on like an airfield. He's got his plane ready. His guys are loading up. Grab it, thank you. And his right-hand man is selling, me and names. His right hand man is telling him like he's worried about Gaia. And he's like, don't worry about her. She was the moment. I took care of that. Like, oh, okay. But remember, Russia's got to look like they're the ones that did this. So we got to be big, we got to be loud, and it's got to look like the Russians did it. Just a quick little thing so you can understand he's up to something right now that's getting ready to go down. We switched from then to Talos and Gaia. Back together, they're like a park or something on the bench, having a conversation about, he didn't want her in that situation in the first place. She's I'm okay. If I didn't want to do it, I would have never done that type of thing. What's the plan? What's the plan, Dad? For going forward. And he's, all right, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna talk to the president and get us get the spot and tell him, just do a way of like, I guess, manipulating him to see like, yeah, we're good. We can have a place to stay. She is not feeling her father at all.
Oh no.
Like, no, like I want to walk around in my own skin. I don't want to have to hide like this. And there's friction between the two. She ends up getting very upset and storming off. And they don't kind of come to a resolution, I would say. After that, I want you to walk us through this next scene, joke, when Fury comes back home. Well, not Fury comes back home. His wife comes back home, and he's already heard in the conversation that they've had.
Yeah, so, she comes home. Fury's in the kitchen. He sees her pops up like, oh, you want some tea? Like, just the way Fury's coming off, you can tell he's being a little smart ass ish.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know how you actually say that. He's being Fury-ish. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And
he didn't have his ring on.
He didn't have his ring on, and come on. At this point, that's the typical for him. Even though we've known that he's like, I know they mentioned that ages ago at some point in passing, but when he comes home, I guess because he comes in, he goes right back out. It just sits in the little dish bowl. He doesn't worry about putting it on. She even asked him, is your finger swollen? Is that why you don't have it on? So I don't know if that was an excuse at one point in time. He's just like, nah, I forgot. I came in through the back. And then, she was asking, is this coming or going? He's like, this is going, but let's get some tea. So he brings over the tea. They start having a little bit of a discussion. And, it seems like Nick is about to go into like a heartfelt conversation with her, as he starts initially with her, making it seem like, she's the one, I've made the best choice or whatever. But then it ended up just rearing its head and just going the opposite direction. Like, you were the mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, he knows. Well, we already knew he was snooping.
But I ignored all my instincts. I ignored every last one of them. You were my biggest mistake.
And, just hearing him say that, like, you could tell that it hurt. It hurt that he was saying this, but he knew it. He already knew she had the pistol that she went to the safe deposit box and pulled out. He called that out immediately. So I was like, okay, my man already been in the safe deposit box and hoodwinked the gun, so it ain't gonna work or whatever. But they both pull out their guns, put them on the table, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. They're just putting the guns up there. We're just gonna chill and relax. But start going a little bit deeper in the conversation. Nick starts asking her, tell me a little bit about. She decided to assume Priscilla, and the reason of why she chose her. And she gave the reasoning, in working, and she was in a health clinic, she was dying, but she was doing it in secret. She didn't want her friends, she didn't want anybody to actually know what was going on.
Yeah.
And so she would check in on her on a daily basis, and they started to become real close. But then she kind of gave her the option of a way to continue on, which it seems like she just, I guess, kind of in the sense told her that she could assume being her going forward.
Yeah.
But she gave her some ultimatums and some things for this to work. So one, it was like when she did pass, it was like she wanted to be buried at sea, and
which she did. She said
acknowledged that she did that. The second thing was to still be a daughter to her parents. And Nick was like, you've absolutely done that. And the third was not to hurt him. So in hearing that, and maybe, and this is from at least the way that I'm grasping, is that obviously Nick was married beforehand. He really was married to Priscilla, but obviously that change happened in there. Because at first I was like, he was with her the whole entire time as the Skrull, but it doesn't seem that way. At least that's how I interpret it. Maybe I interpreted it wrong. Looking at it. How did you take that?
I mean, I thought he was with Priscilla, and that was just the body that she had chose to, go out into the world and do her assignments for Nick Fury. That was the body that she chose. They just didn't have a conversation about it until now. I guess he just never asked about why she chose that body until now. But I think he fell for her as a Skrull, just working with them and trying to find them the home world and all that kind of stuff. I don't think he was with the human version of her, and then she.
A part of me feels like he was, and that was kind of the way. That one is. I guess you could kind of determine that reading between the lines, however you like to, until we maybe get a little bit more.
Well, I'm thinking back to when they met in that other restaurant a couple episodes ago for the first time when we saw how they met, and he asked her like, how did she choose that body or something like
and
that.
Everything. Yeah. So yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know that one. It was a little the way that they were talking about it, but. They go through that, and they reiterate the poem that they talked about in that restaurant
right
way back then, and you can feel that it's getting a little tense, even though it's like they're still like on the same page. And in the moment they finish reciting the poems, they both pick their guns up and each shot a shot off. And
she was about to cry when she said, "My third one was not to hurt you."
Yeah,
she was about to cry when she said that,
but. They each popped off a shot. And, initially I'm like, oh, snap. Either somebody didn't make it or Nick Fury has like a shield or something on that's going to stop a bullet from coming through. But I'm like, Nick Fury wouldn't miss his target, though.
No.
But the camera angles switch, and we get Priscilla back in camera view, and we notice that the bullet is actually gone into... like a mask on the wall, and you start to hear Nick talking, and so they just kind of played it off. And Nick was like I don't know if this means we should get divorced or if we should renew our wedding vow. Like, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
but clearly, even though she is supposed to kill Nick Fury, those feelings are still there, and obviously she couldn't do it. Nick wasn't going to kill her, but at this point, Nick is like, "Listen, they're going to come after you." And she's like, "I can take care of myself. I'm a big girl."
Yeah.
And, the main question at the end of that, she asked Nick, if I was in my own skin, do you think you would have loved me the same way, or we would have been the same? Nick gave her the cold shoulder initially and walked off. I was like, oh, chill. Like the no answer off of it. But then he just turns around and is just like, I guess we'll never know. I was like, yikes. So
very cold.
I imagine this is probably maybe, I don't want to say the last time that they have an interaction with each other, but it seems like they are parting their ways, at least. And so obviously Nick can finish what needs to be done, and she can go into hiding, protect herself. But that was a real, like, I've been enjoying these one-on-one scenes that we've been getting through the whole entire show. Nick and Rhodey, Nick and Talos, like, Nick is always one of them. And we've been seeing his character kind of, I guess you could say, come out of the shell a little bit of him being, that, I don't want to say paranoid, but the always prepared, the always knowing what's going on type of Nick Fury, to be a little bit more vulnerable. So I really appreciate them doing that with Nick's character. But that was the end of that scene, and they part ways from there.
No, great scene. Like you said, those conversations between Nick and whoever he's talking to at the time, when they slow it down for a minute, have been some of the high points of the show so far. And that was another good one that they had. Now, the next scene we get to pertains to the question we have been asking for episodes now. We are in a hotel room, and there's a Skrull in the shower. And they are getting out of the shower. It's a female Skrull, I might add.
Yeah, that caught me off guard.
Right. Female Skrull, the towel, washing off everything.
Well, it didn't catch me off guard just yet. It's the after. Then I was like, oh, okay. Continue, sir.
Yes, but the Skrull is washing off fresh out the shower. They go to wipe the steam from the glass, and they change into Rhodey. Rhodey is officially a Skrull. Jokes. Where did you like? Did you think Rhodey was a Skrull?
No,
Jokes?
I didn't. I did not. Remember, my prediction was Rhodey. This was the real Rhodey, and it was the president. So at this point now, it's completely the opposite. Now, Gage, I got to give you your props because apparently it's looking like you're going to be right about this. And the president's going to end up taking an L by the time this show is over. But the cat is out of the bag that we've been wondering, like, who can we trust? And
we've been asking for weeks. We asked people at BlurredCon. It was 50-50. Some people saying yes. Some people say no. We officially have the answer.
It went to the link, and it was all out. It was a scroll, and they was right.
He is a scroll. He proceeds. She. I don't know. Rhodey. Scroll Rhodey proceeds to come out of the shower, dressed up, back into the main hotel room, only to see Nick Fury sitting there having a drink.
Oh man, I mean, lady, what they do with my man?
Lady Rhodes.
Hey, listen, Sim. Before we get too much into this,
sure.
All I would say now is, with us knowing that he is a scroll, when in the blue hell did he get swapped out?
That is one of the biggest questions right now.
Because now, like, Fury knows. We'll get it. I just know he knows. We'll get into that. But I joked about like different periods and things. Like, obviously, we all say, you know what? During that time after Infinity War Endgame, the 5-year time jump, maybe that's where it happened. I don't know. I said it would be absolutely hilarious if maybe during Iron Man 1 and 2 is where he got swapped out at, and they can joke about maybe you kind of do look a little different from what we remember. Listen, that would be hilarious. I doubt they'll go back that far. But either way, even if there was like, let's say it happened pre-Endgame. So obviously that 5-year time frame, that dude does not know that Tony is dead.
That's the thing. Does he know
that
Tony's dead?
That hurts to think that we would probably end up going through another scene like that again.
Yeah.
And them having to, at that point, fill Rhodes in on like the 5 years and what actually happened. All I know is I hope we find out between the next 2 episodes. But
that's about to say, do we get Rhodey back by the end of this with only 2 episodes left?
Dog, I don't know. And listen, we have to. He has his own movie.
True.
He has his own movie, so it's some way we have to get our Rhodey.
We need to get him back ASAP.
But obviously, he's somewhere. Like, I imagine he is still alive.
He's probably down there where they got the rest of them at that nuclear power plant. He's probably in there somewhere.
But
he's too high level to put. You know what I'm saying? He has too much high level access to. To put anywhere else.
Just throw him away.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's there somewhere. It's just, do we get him back by the end of the show? But he comes out, sees Fury sitting there with a very, very expensive bottle of whiskey.
Oh, Happy Von Winkle, 23 years.
Oh yeah,
like, he sold that.
Oh,
$5,000 a bottle.
Oh yeah, and come on, let's talk. Let's hash this. Let's hash this agreement out between us. You know what I'm saying? Like brothers, let's do that. Okay, and of course he's worried to drink it. Like, yeah, was this gonna poison me or something like that? Nah, like, you mind if I pour it out or something? He's like, if you pour that out, like your ancestors gonna come back and handle you. Like,
oh, he flat out said, listen, if you waste a drop of this, John, your ancestors gonna come up and they gonna whoop and strangle your black ass. That was hilarious.
But they're sitting, Fury's, trying to get back in his good graces, or at least it would seem. We don't really know what Fury's angle is at the point right now. And
yeah, we do. The way it's just his mannerisms the whole way through. Like, I know we're trying to bury the hatchet. Let's not go out like his mannerisms are selling the fact that, like, oh no, he knows that there's something going on right now. He finally comes out and says, it's like, put both hands on the table. Listen, there is a Skrull high up in the U.S. military. The way he's at him. And so Rhodey's like, man, well, how close are they? As close as you and me are together right now. He's flat out telling you that.
He's like, I know you're a Skrull, bro. Like, he's probably saying it to his face in the scene.
Oh man, it's so funny.
Yeah, he does drink, but he does drink with him. You know what I'm saying? And After he tells him that there's a scroll, somebody's close between us, Rhodey, they're talking. Rhodey gets up. Mind if I say something? Goes over to the laptop, pops a USB drive in it, brings up on the TV him shooting Hall at the square when the explosion went off. But of course, Fury's like, come on now, that isn't me.
Grab it.
Exactly. Grab it. Yeah. People gonna believe there was a little green man running around looking like a bald dude. They did it? No. So stay in your place, and you won't have to worry about this and the many other copies that I have. Right? Stay in your lane, and you're done. You're out, pretty much. Try to put Fury in this place, but cool. He leaves, meets up with Talos in the car, has this little vial of some brown liquid. Turns out that in the liquor, they did a liquid tracker. So now they can follow Rhodey, Lady Rhodey, whatever we'll call her, wherever she goes.
He's stupid. Nick Fury flat out said, "Hey, you ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to worry about no tracker." Like this dude flat out said everything to him, bro, in the most subtlest of ways.
There's no way I would have drunk that alcohol. I don't care what brand it is, bro. I don't trust you, Fury. I don't trust you. You show up with this expensive bottle of alcohol and expect me to not question it, but you're still going to drink it, Rhodey.
Proceeded to down at least half the bottle.
Right. We wanted maybe if the bottle was sealed. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you're opening it for the first time. No, you're already sitting there drinking it when it comes. But regardless, they now have a way to track him. So we go to a scene where the president has made it out there. They got Secret Service lined up. He's coming up the plane. Rhodey goes over to meet him, gives him the breakdown of what's going on. Right. The president calls him out on his breath being he's very intoxicated, as he kind of put it. Told him get a coffee for Rose. We can't go into this meeting with him, smelling like that. Rhodey might have took a little bit of offense, but yeah, bro, you just said they was drinking with Nick Fury. Like, it is what it is. As they begin to trying to think if I'm missing anything, yeah, they
right on point.
They take off because remember it is a shorter episode, so you think it's more here. They take off. They're driving down the road, Secret Service, the whole 9 yards. The boys show up. Gravik and his squad show up with helicopters, the whole 9 yards. They're blowing SUVs over the place. They make it down. It's a big shootout. They're trying to protect the president. The president's truck ends up getting knocked over upside down.
Here we go. Scrody.
There you go. Thank you, Heather. Scrody. That's what we're calling him. That's what we're calling him from now on.
Oh, hashtag Scrody.
Right. But huge firefight ensues. Nick, Talos finally pull up. They get out. They join in. I know Gage probably particularly like this part with Fury and the shotgun action. Getting busy. Yeah. Taking dudes out with the shotty. Great to see.
No recoil. My man was popping them shotgun shells off like it was nothing.
Smooth with it too. But they get some Secret Service members. They make their way over to the president where he's unconscious, hanging upside down in the SUV. Talos goes and starts breaking the glass to get him out. Gravis guys see Nick Fury, Talos. They let him know, hey, Fury's over here. He gets pissed off, wants to walk to the front line, starts throwing Groot arms around. And I was
like, don't you dare miss that.
Oh, no. He snatched dude up and just crushed him where he stood. So they're trying to get the president out. He tells his man, shoot Talos, wings him in the shoulder. He starts to lose his concentration, Talos, so he starts to go back into his regular scroll form as he keeps trying to, break the glass with his hand. It's cracking. It's not there just yet. Fury and everybody else trying to hold it down with the shots. One of the guys sees Talos turning back, kind of starts to freak out a little bit. Fury, I say, no, he's with me. Don't worry about it. He's with me. We got this. Keep shooting them guys. So he finally breaks it out. He finally breaks the glass. Kind of collapses a little bit after that from, being shot. Mm-hmm. They go to pull him out. And it's an absolute mess. They get the president out. They're trying to get him away. And we get the unfortunate scene where Gravik takes out Talos because he couldn't get to, Fury in a moment. And from what it looks like, Talos is dead. Is Talos dead, Jose?
Talos ain't from what we seen. Ain't been nowhere near any super scroll formula or whatever you want to call it. So if he's not dead, the dude is he's gonna be recovering for a good while. But they just leave us with him just laying there. So the assumption, just like we thought Gaia was dead, for all we know, dude is not dead. But for all intents and purposes, Talos is dead.
Yeah, you can tell Fury was obviously
torn,
pissed and distraught. But he had to get out there because he was the one carrying the president. He had to get the president and get out there, and unfortunately leave his man there to die, pretty much, which was just terrible to sit and watch. And side note, the whole time Rhodey,
like he dead. He dead.
I don't want to say for sure until we get to the next episode.
And listen, if this is how Gaia now, I hate this. This would have been what she needs to get into the full gear to be able to start to help Nick out. But now she's going to be on her own mission going after Gravik. And that's where we end. Like,
the show just ends like that. And the whole time, Rhodey was just sitting in the car just with the straight face.
He was chilling. My man
not doing anything. Just, is it over yet? Almost. Like, you could get out. You could, shoot a gun, something, be helpful. You know what I'm saying?
You would think he would try to play a little bit of the part. Like, you're Colonel Rhodes, and this is the President of the United States. Now, this is where I think that this may come back and bite Scrody in the rear end, because it's like, why weren't you out there trying to defend
leading your troops, and protecting them? Like, you could at least faked it, you know what I'm saying, been missing shots or something. Like, you just sat there and didn't move the entire time. It was very weird.
So I feel like that's gonna probably rub some heads the wrong way eventually. Once he comes to, it's just a matter of, obviously Nick's taking the president, they're going to end up off grid somewhere.
That's what I'm thinking.
We know Nick's probably got a safe house someplace else, but now he's going to have to try to explain to the president that, there's little green men in your leadership inside of your camp
and inside of all the sorts of government organizations around the world and such. Yeah.
So that conversation is going to be an interesting one that he's going to have. I don't know. Obviously, it's Nick Fury. I feel like there's some type of proof, or there's something that he's going to have to try to convince the president, unless obviously Rhodey, we know it had the tracker stuff in it. Maybe something else that they can distinguish his DNA or something. Maybe Rhodey has his own tracker in his body. I don't know. It's going to be something left field. Find out where James Rhodes is right now. And he's going to be like halfway around the world. Like, so he's in Russia. Well, they're in they're in the UK, I believe, right now, because they're going there to try to
they were posing as the Russians at the end.
So when Rhodey's body shows up, like, it says that Rhodey's in Russia right now, but that can't be right.
Right. So Nick Fury does have the tracker on him. He easily show him, like, nah, your boy's he's over there with them.
So I don't know how he breaks it to the president, because that's going to be a whole thing. Or Maria's not dead. Like, this is the one, but at this point, I'm trying to say that everybody's not dead. I don't know. Maybe she's got the evidence, because at this point, that video, I feel like that video footage, somehow they got to be able to figure out that is not Nick Fury. Like, in the old school days, in the cartoons, it'd have been something dumb like, oh, he's got the eye patch on the wrong eye. And they would have been able to, I feel like maybe that's part of the reason why he doesn't wear the eye patch or something anymore. It would have been some stupid thing like that for it, but I don't know what.
We only have 2 episodes left. Only 2. And there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. Like, the biggest thing I want to know is what kept Nick Fury from coming back down, because they keep referencing it and bringing it up, like him staying up there and him not being the same person. They keep bringing it up like every episode. So at this point, I just really want to know, what was it that either scared him enough to not come back down and worked up there on Saber constantly? Is it either that, or you were just really mentally messed up after the snap or something like that? Like, I just want that explanation. Hopefully we get that in these last 2 episodes. But
Maybe
not
Nick
sure.
Fury. Maybe Nick Fury's dead, and it's a Skrull the whole entire time. There's another Skrull that's posing as Nick Fury.
I mean, he's been faking his death how many times now in the MCU? Like,
I don't know. And then we'll just multiverse it, and David Hasselhoff is going to show up and become Nick Fury again.
that I consider happening in Deadpool or something like that. Something like Deadpool, but funny nonetheless. All right, so since this was a short episode, where are you at now? Are you still at an 8?
I'm still at an 8. It was short. I mean, it got right to the point with a lot of stuff. So, still questions on the table. My hope is, though, is these last 2 episodes. The next one, I could see them end up doing like another 30 or 40-minute episode. But between the next one and the last one of them is going to have a decent, like, I feel like a solid, like 50-minute runtime to try to, we've discussed this. We don't know how you necessarily bottle this whole thing up within these 6 episodes. This just seems like this is going to be a bigger thing within the MCU that they're going to have to navigate around. I don't know.
No, I agree. I don't see it being fully wrapped up with a nice little bow in 2 episodes. That's not going to happen. However this ends, it's just going to vibrate through the rest of the MCU projects for a while until maybe we get a season 2 or something like that. You know what I mean? We will come back and kind of close out the Skrull.
Definitely can see it spilling over, seeing it spill over into the Marvels. I feel like that is definitely, it keeps in line with everything. It's releasing right in the time frame to keep this story moving along for it. So maybe that's where we kind of see, I guess you could say, a resolution. But I feel like I'm getting to the point when this joint ends, they're going to figure out Rhodey's a Skrull, but we ain't going to know what Rhodey is by the time this is going to end.
I'm telling you, he's at the nuclear power plant with the rest of them. He's there. We haven't seen him, but he's there.
They put him someplace else. They ain't keep him with the other people. He had to lock that dude up.
Well, they kept other people there, didn't they? I think he's there. I strongly believe he's there, and I just want them to save him before it's all over. They need to. But I think I'm at an 8. I'm gonna give it 8 just for the wrestling reference. Like, that just took me from left field and put a little smile on my face.
Wrestling reference.
Yeah.
Gave him the half point. Okay.
It did.
I'll accept that.
But overall, I enjoyed the episode. Short, sweet, to the point. They got in cool action, a lot of information. We're just looking forward to see where they take this next with the second to last episode.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Candace. Free Rhodey.
Yes. Let's get this Scrody out of here. Yeah, we don't.
I need the real Rhodey back, and I'm just afraid of the time frame that he got swapped. It's just gonna break my heart even further if he does not know Tony is dead.
I said, it's a lot for these last 2 episodes. It's a lot, depending on which way they take this. It's going to be questions, a lot of questions.
That's how the final episode goes off. Hey, where's Tony at?
And it just goes off. Oh my gosh! Don't say that. Don't say that. That would hurt.
That would hurt so much.
It would be a fire ending, but that would hurt. All right, everybody. Well, your predictions right about Rhodey. We want to know, of course, hit us in the comments. And y'all know the routine. We'll be back here Monday to do the next episode. We're almost to the end of this, and I know we're looking forward to it. Hopefully, y'all are too. So until the next episode of Spoiler Boys, we will catch you later. Deuces.
Loading snacks.